Today I'm gonna talk about one of the best / most underrated rides that people don't speak about often. And the roller coaster I'm talking about is called Revenge of the Mummy, and this is the Universal Orlando edition. And I'm also very lucky to have captured an on-ride POV of this ride, and there's not many on-ride POVs of this roller coaster out there. There's also another version in California and one in Singapore, but they have different theming elements and layout, of course. But many say the Universal Orlando version is the best, of course, so I had to try it. And in my opinion, this is really a world-class ride with world-class theming and world-class intense elements. And I really think this roller coaster doesn't get appreciated or talked about very often. And now let's get into this review where I'll talk about the theming and the layout and the experience you get when you ride this roller coaster. And of course, let's go over the stats real quick. Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Orlando is of course an indoor dark ride / roller coaster, and it is 44.4 feet, and that is 13.5 meters, and length of this ride is 2,200 feet and 670 meters. The top speed is 40 miles per hour, and that is 64 kilometers per hour, and you have a whole duration of almost 3 minutes, and it cost $40 million to build, so goddamn, this is a lot. Now let's quickly talk about the queue line and the trains on this roller coaster. This roller coaster of course has one of the most iconic / beautiful entrance facades. The first section of the queue line looks like a behind the scenes set of the movies where you can see a monitor showcasing the behind the scenes, of course, of the movie. Then the queue line takes you through a pyramid where the first section is a heavily themed maze, and then the second section is a very big chamber room / trophy room. I don't know what it's called, a grave in my opinion. And then if you look above you, there's a huge cool figure flying above your head, and as you take the stairs up to the main station, you can see it even closer. Then the stairs takes you up to the first floor where the station is, and here you can choose 2 pathways because the station is a dual load station, and that means just there's 2 stations with 2 trains loading at the same time, of course. The train consists of 4 rows of 4, and that means there's 16 passengers at a time for the train. Talking about the comfort section of this ride, the roller coaster train isn't the best. In my opinion, it's a very tight squeeze, and I'm also very tall, so that could also be the reasoning. Now let's get into the whole layout. And the first section of this ride is a big dark ride section. Here you'll meet Reggie, who's trapped, and he says this is a trap, of course, and then suddenly the villain pops out of the grave besides and says, "Oh no, rah, 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 rah." And these 2 animatronics are of course not cheap, they look awesome. Then you go further into the grave where you see some cool symbols at the wall, and then you go into this impressive room. This is a very big room called the treasure room, and this is heavily themed where you look forward, you can see the villain on the screen where the fire pops up, and then suddenly you hear a loud bang and all the mummies pop beside you like a jump scare. And then you quickly escape by turning to the right where you will meet a wall that almost hits your head, and then you turn into a dead end. And this is a little switchback section where you see something at the wall where it cracks and insects come out, and then you get pushed backwards down this little dip. Then you yet again hit the brakes on a turntable where the train of course turns you 180 degrees, and at the screen in front of you you can see the evil villain / the mummy looking at you and saying something rah, 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 rah. And then you go up one of the best part of this ride, and that is the launch that takes you up an incline, and it looks so cool because the mummy says "Your soul shall be mine," and then you fly through the mouth of the mummy, and then you dip down, receive airtime, and twist to the right. And the airtime is also very strong. I would call it flowjector airtime. And while your bum is in the air, the train of course twists to the right, and that means in the air you jank to the right and you can almost hit the rider to the next of you. And after that you hit a very lengthy roller coaster section with twists and turns where you stay low to the ground, and you have a decent pace going through all these elements. And here the roller coaster train dodges and weaves the different mummy figures in the dark. And now the train hits the fake unload section, and this is where an animatronic tells you the ride is over, but no, the lights flash, and then the mummy kills the animatronic and turns it into a skeleton, and then the mummy appears the same place. And this intensely themed scene is supported with sounds where the glass breaks and you can see the mummy, and then the fire turns on and you can hear a loud rumbling, and then the room turns very hot because the flames reaches the whole ceiling, and it almost feels like you get hit by the flames because I think there's an effect with a few drops of water hitting you. Everything from the sounds and visuals and the feeling of the drops, it is just world-class theming. Then the train quickly dips down and turns to the left into a huge mist of red fog, and here the riders experience flowjector airtime as your bum leaves the seat, and then you quickly turn to the left and jank into the other person to the left again. And then you have a quick short coaster section that takes you to the brakes, and this coaster section isn't really the best because you can really feel the train has nothing left to prove. The speed is gone, and yet again you dodge a few mummies on the way, of course. And as you slowly move into the unload section, you can see a screen where Brendan Fraser talks about the mummy and he needs his coffee and so what, and then mummy of course comes with his coffee, and that's quite funny. Brendan Fraser of course runs screaming screaming away. And that is a really funny way to end this ride experience. Now we've reached the final part of this video. I'm of course gonna talk about the pros and cons of this experience, and then I'm gonna give it a 1 to 10, and then I'm gonna say bye bye again. The theming is of course world class and immersive, and the best elements are of course the treasure room with the fire and the mummies, and then the second room slash fake unload station where you also experience the fire and a jump scare where it kills the animatronic. And the best sections of the coaster track is the intense launch and airtime you receive at the crest of the launch, and then also the underworld section. Here you'll also experience a great ejector pop. And then the first coaster section with the twists and turns in the dark is also very great because it's very low to the ground and you can really feel the speed at the turns. And the most dull moment of this ride is the last section where you don't have a lot of speed, where you just maneuver your way slowly into the brakes. And this is why I'm gonna give Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Orlando a 9 out of 10. What makes Revenge of the Mummy different from other dark ride slash roller coaster attractions is its intense layout. Many dark ride slash indoor roller coaster attractions are very mild in terms of layout because they cater mostly to families. And this is where Revenge of the Mummy wins over all of the other roller coaster slash dark ride experience I've tried. This one combines great theming and great thrill. And now we've reached the end of this video. Have you ridden Revenge of the Mummy, or do you want to ride this roller coaster, and what do you think of my review? And then the final thing I'm gonna say is support the channel or give it a like or a subscription. Bye bye.